All right, this is my cousin. She's going to talk about what it was like when she found her sister murdered by her son's father. Okay, Marie, you can go ahead.
Okay. Yep, it happened November 9th, 2018. And I lived down the street from my mom, and my sister was staying with my mom at the time. Also, two of my brothers were living there with my mom too, along with some of their children. My sister has an older daughter who lived with my mom, lived with her and my mom, and then a son that was killed with her. The morning that this happened, uh, I'll never forget it. I was in my bathroom putting on makeup, and I had all three of my kids in the hallway telling me to hurry up because I had to take them to school, and I was taking too long. Um, I remember about a couple minutes to 7, I heard a couple gunshots, and I just thought, dang, somebody is shooting at 7 o'clock in the morning. A couple seconds went by. A guy that lived around the corner from my mom and my sister, he is friends with me and my husband. He come over, ran upstairs and said, the police are at your mom's house. The police are there. There's a lot of lights. I don't know what's going on over there. So then my son, who was 16 at the time, I said, call your grandma and see what's going on over there. And when he called my mom's phone, he had her on speaker, and she was screaming, help me, Nick just killed Jelena and baby Nick. And so the gunshots that I heard were the gunshots that were killing my sister and her baby. So I fell all the way down my stairs, and my son went to drive me down the street to my mom's house, which I was just so lost. I couldn't get there fast enough in the car, it seemed like. So I remember jumping out of the car and just running down the street, screaming for my mom and my sister. When it got to the scene, it was lights everywhere. They were working on my sister. I couldn't get to her, but I was standing in the middle of the street screaming for my mom. And I seen one of my brothers being carried by the police because he was just faint. He couldn't walk. He couldn't stand. He was just screaming and yelling. And then my mom come out of the light, and she had some blood on her. And we were hugging, and she was telling me she thinks that my sister is dead. Now, when they first got shot, there was one police officer that showed up before anybody, and he picked my nephew up off of my sister and drove him to the hospital in the cop car. So he took him to the hospital, and he was being worked on before they pronounced my sister dead. While I was still at the scene, I watched one of my brothers go into a state where he couldn't walk, and then I watched another one of my brothers show up and almost have a heart attack. Then we followed, me and my mom and my brother followed the ambulance to the hospital that had my sister in it. And they didn't have lights on, and they weren't driving fast, so we kind of knew then that, she was dead. He didn't get away because he killed himself after he shot both of them. He shot himself in his throat, and then he went to the hospital from there too, but he died at the hospital.
Wow, my gosh, that's so tragic. How old was your sister at the time?
She was 30.
30
She had
years
just turned 30 years
old.
old in
Wow.
July before November.
Wow. Did you feel any vibes like the night before or the week before?
Yes. So the night before, her daughter, her surviving daughter, she was staying the night with me, and at about 11 o'clock at night, she comes in my room. Now, it's a thing that she does all the time. She stays the night with me. My kids stay the night with her. It's a something that happens all the time. It's not something that's out of the ordinary. But what was out of the ordinary is she came in my room and she says, Titi, can you call my mom? And I said, no, it's all right. It's 11 o'clock. You got to go to sleep. You got to go to school in the morning. And she was like, but I want to go home. I was like, it's 11 o'clock. You don't never do this. Why are you, wanting to call her? And she said, well, I love her so much, and I just want to go home. I want to talk to her. I want to go home. I want to sleep with my mom. And my sister's car was broke. It was in the shop. So I called her, and she walked over to my house and picked up my niece. But before I got off the phone with her, it was almost, I said, I love you, and she said, I love you too. But when I said I love you, I was looking at my phone to make sure that it actually said her name for some reason, just to make sure she was still on the phone and that she could hear me. It was 2 weeks before she was murdered. She had expressed to me and my family that she thought that he was going to try to kill her. And she was right.
Wow. So basically, a father killed his son and then
His only
killed
son, his only kid.
Wow, then killed the son's mother. For what?
Yeah, nobody really knows. I know my sister and him weren't together. He was doing really bad after they broke up. He just wasn't making enough money. He wasn't, doing good. And he wanted to have another kid with my sister, and she didn't want to. She didn't want to be with him. He had always tried to be very controlling over everything she did, over everything in the house, and how she, moved, and how she just made it through the day. It was just, he was one of those people where he just wanted to control everything. He was older than my sister, a lot older than my sister. My sister was beautiful, and yeah, he was a little obsessed.
Do you know how much older? Like how many years?
Yeah, so he was like 10 years older than my sister.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Wow. So an older man. So he probably was like 40.
Yep, yep.
Wow. So did everybody know that he had a gun?
No, I hate saying this, but he was, it was hard to believe because he was such a good dad. I mean, even when him and my sister weren't together, he played a part in my niece's life because my niece wasn't his biological daughter, but he would still, pick them up, take her to the fair. He'd pick my kids up and take them to the fair with her and with his son. And um, he just, he seemed very mentally stable. He had a really good job. He was very, quiet. It was very, very surprising because, like I said, it was his only kid, and he had a junior, his son, and he was a good dad at first.
Wow.
It's
So it really wasn't
yeah,
any heavy warning signs. Like he wasn't stalking
no,
her. She didn't have to like get any type of restraining orders or.
nope. The only thing he tried to do was he tried to take her to court, for custody, and she went to court and she won. And after that, he was like, he wasn't losing his house, and he did lose his house, and he had to move in with his parents. And my sister was doing good. She had her own spot, and she was just moved with my mom. So then that way she was gonna get the house next door to my mom.
Oh.
So yeah, and then he we were all thinking he was on drugs or had to be on
Right.
drugs
That's what I
or
wanted to
drunk.
ask next. Yeah.
No, he was completely sober.
Wow. So you think he just snapped, like mentally insane, like
Yeah,
somebody could just.
yeah. He things weren't going his way. He, like I said, he wanted everything to go his way, and she was a very um, independent, very strong woman, and she noticed that very early on. She didn't live with him after she had the baby. She moved out when she was pregnant because she just she wanted to live her life the way she wanted to live it, and she did not wasn't gonna let anybody tell her what to do, because she has her own mind. And He didn't like that about her. He didn't like how strong she was, how independent, she was. She didn't need him, and he didn't like that.
Wow. And at 40 years old, around the age of 40, he just
Yeah,
snapped. So he had his
yeah,
first kid, or this was his first son?
yeah. His first kid, period.
Oh my gosh. So you think after she did not want to be with them, he fell into depression?
Yeah, well,
Cause that's almost like
she got
that's
in.
suicide, right? Like,
Yes, yes,
so,
yep. She got engaged and she posted it on Facebook. And I remember her being like, he's calling me, blowing me up. He's, wanting to come over. And she's like, and I'm not dealing with him like that. And the more and more resistant she became towards him and his, wants and what he wanted. Then that's when he started acting funny. Matter of fact, my mom said, he came in her house to pick up the baby, a couple of days before to take the baby because he actually had the baby for the weekend. He had the baby 2 days a week, and then he brings the baby back. But when he came to pick the baby up, my mom said that he came in the house and was acting like real tough, kind of with my sister, like telling her, watch who you talking to like that and stuff like that. Well, of course, my mom told him, told him to shut up and get up out of her house talking to her like that because at this point, none of us really cared for him because the weird thing is, she was kind of with him for like 2 years,
mhm.
and he never really spoke to none of us. So we really never really
Oh,
knew what type of person he
wow.
was.
So he
He
was
was kind of,
quiet.
yeah, he was kind of like really new. He really didn't mingle with any of us. He really didn't communicate with any of us. He didn't make a relationship with any of us. And I have 10 brothers. He didn't have a relationship with none of them.
Wow. Wow. So if you could just guess, we could guess like he was probably up all night, could not sleep and pacing because
Yes,
he had to build a lot of adrenaline to walk into
adrenaline.
your mama house without
Oh
no
no,
regard. Like, and then he killed
he did it
himself too.
outside.
Oh, he outside, but
Yeah,
outside your
so
mom house.
exactly. Because he was ready to die anyway. He was already mentally
Yeah.
prepared for it. He had all those hours. He had his baby. He got to spend time with his baby, and I think all the time because I know my sister how scared she was when he shot the baby.
Cause
Cause
he shot the
she took
baby
off running.
first.
Yeah, he shot the baby
Oh
first, and she took
my
off running,
gosh.
and she was screaming. And my brother was sleeping in the front room, and she was screaming for him to come outside and help her. And when he sat up, one of the bullets went through the window there and grazed the top of his head.
Oh my gosh. That
He
had to
actually
be
could have killed my
scary.
brother too, but
Yeah, I saw on the news your brother, my cousin, um, how he was describing where he was laying and how the bed was
yeah,
and the window. I was just like, wow, that had to be
yeah,
scary for everybody.
yes, it was. I've lost a sibling before, and it's a horrible, horrible feeling because me and my siblings, we grew up together, in the same house, and it's a bunch of us. We're a very strong unit. We didn't have a bunch of money, but we had each other, so a very
Oh
strong unit. And when you lose one of them, a piece of your unit,
my
it's almost like you have a small hole that's in your heart, and when you think about them, it it's almost like it takes all of your breath out of your body because it's so painful.
gosh.
But
Especially
when you lose,
murdered, right?
yes, but when you lose, Delina, the way she was done, she was murdered. The hurt from that, it never gets lessened. It's never light. Year by year, the pain is heavier because they were both taken. Not just my sister, but her 4-year-old son, and then done by his dad that he just spent 2 days
Right.
with.
Versus a stranger, right? Like a
Yeah,
drive by, you don't know who. This
yes,
somebody like
and he was,
in house.
you know, yeah, and he was still alive when my mom was outside. He was on my sister, and he was just crying. He knew his dad shot him. You know, he knew his dad shot him. He was feeling what he knew. You know, and my sister, I know my sister was dead. My mom watched her take her last breath in her front yard. My mom lost her grandson and her daughter, and this evil man died in front of her house as well.
God.
You know,
I mean,
domestic violence is it's a very serious thing.
that's
Like I said,
where I want to try. Okay, good, because that's where I wanted to kind of go into right now, like just to ask you about domestic violence because you're in a happy marriage, which is
hmm
good. That's so good. However, you've experienced domestic violence and how it could turn into murder.
yes,
So, what are the
yes, and
signs, or what
be
would
very
you tell
unexpected.
someone?
Well, I just think, you know, first, it doesn't have to be signs like of him hitting you and abusing you. It can just be signs of like if he wants you to do something and you really don't want to do that, but you're doing it because it makes him happy, or you're doing it because you're fearful of what he will do or how he will act in action, you know. And then a lot of the people, they say things like I said, my sister said she thinks he's gonna kill her, you know, but because of the type of person he was, nobody really would think that he would ever do anything like that because he was so well put together.
Yeah, and couples be playing like that too. Like, I will kill you if you ever try to
Right.
leave me. We in this for death. Like, like people
Yes.
say that a lot, but nobody
Yes.
will ever think that it will happen for real.
Right. Especially to us. I'm like, I have 10 brothers.
Right.
I
A
know
big
they know,
family.
you know, but you know what? That's why he had to take himself out because
Yes.
if he didn't take himself out, then some of my
Mm.
brothers definitely would have laid down the rest of their lives, like gladly
Mm, mm,
fucking
mm,
hurting him.
mm,
I'm
mm,
sorry, but
mm.
yeah.
My God. So, like you said, there's no signs, but once the victim states that they've been threatened, what should the family do? Like, looking back, do you feel like there's something you could have done or someone else could have done to
Yes,
prevent it?
yes, I do. I do. Um, I wish, I wish that I would have believed her. I really just didn't, I really just didn't think that he would do something like that. And my sister, she's, like I said, she's such a strong person. She can be very intimidating, especially to men. You know,
Mm,
I just
mm,
really think
mm.
listening and observing, and taking it very seriously. Small things can end up to this. And like I said, he's never hit my sister. Um, he wasn't like physically hitting her, but being very controlling and then acting out when she wasn't following rules and steps and things that, he wanted. So just really listening and observing and taking it serious.
But what
You
could you
can't,
have done? Like, would have had your sister get a restraining order
well, for one,
or
I would have helped her
protection
get
order?
her gun because that's what she was wanting to do.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. But on top of everything, like nobody really can be held accountable for his actions,
Mhm.
and I don't I can't have any guilt because I already have enough pain from the fact that she's gone, and I know she wouldn't want me to be she wouldn't want none of us to ever think that it was something we could have did to prevent it.
Because I don't think that you really could have, right? Because like
No. And that's the
because
thing
it
though, but
didn't
like
sound serious. You like there are thugs and real killers who be threatening and nothing happens. Okay, so we're starting the video back over. Okay, so I was leaving off saying that there are things you really can't do. In my cousin's situation, she was not receiving threats. So how do a family know? Like, she made a warning sign, one warning sign, that I think he might kill me. But I've heard of women in domestic violence situations that actually stay with the man. The man said they're going to kill her. The family don't know what to do because the woman will not leave. So sometimes you can't, how do you know if it's just words or if it's really real? Like, this dude did not seem like a thug, he didn't seem like a gangbanger, he didn't seem like he really was about that type of life.
Right. He really wasn't. And I think that, you're absolutely right. There's there's really, I mean, you could be their support, and and I guess if you file like a police report, and you just keep letting whoever know that you're there for them, it's
Mm-hmm.
still gonna hurt if something happens to them, but at least you'll be at peace with yourself because you've done everything that you could do, for this person.
Yeah, and I think your family, like how you said, as close as you were, as supportive as you were there for each other. Like, what else? I mean, because that's all people really need is that support. I mean, we cannot control somebody else's mental state.
That's right.
Um, okay, so I want to ask you, because I want to play a song that your brother wrote. But before I get into that, I want to ask you, how has this affected the family? Because this is like the fourth year, right, since she's been gone.
It's going on 5.
5 years. So that's still to I mean to me, which everybody got their own opinion. I think it's still kind of new. It's not old
Absolutely.
because I'm still
Absolutely.
grieving over people I lost ten years ago. So
Right. Yeah. And like I said, it doesn't, with every year, it doesn't get lighter. It doesn't get easier. I mean, you just find other ways to deal with it, you know. Um, like I said, it's been 5 years, and some days I can talk about it just fine. Other days, it hurts to just think about it.
well, it's a lot of memories too because like she has a birthday every year. Her birthday is a special day of the month. You
She
know,
has a daughter that's alive.
exactly, exactly. And then her nephew, your nephew was, murdered as well. So it's like all of these memories. It's only 12 months in a year. So, like how you
Yeah.
saying, seeing her daughter. So that's seeing her. It's a lot. And
Yeah.
how do you ever explain this to a child?
Yeah. Right. It's horrible. Her daughter is 14, and she was 10 when this happened, and she stayed in the house. Thank God she stayed in the house and didn't go outside with her mom. Um, because we don't know what would have happened. I mean, he could have just took
Mm,
out my
mm,
sister's whole
mm,
entire family.
mm, mm, mm,
So we have her. She looks just like my sister. She brings the same energy as my sister. But
mm,
we all, as a unit, my family, my siblings, my mom, we have all had to pull together and make this our kid, our daughter. Things that happen with her have to be just as important as they are with our own children. They have to be just as
right,
exciting, as
right,
it is with our children, because my sister's not here to be able to enjoy the things that parenthood brings, and she's also not here for my niece to be able to enjoy that feeling that you get when your mom is proud of you, or the feeling that you get to make them proud or them smile. She doesn't get any of that. She has all of us, and it's never going to be good enough because we're not her mom. There's nothing like having your mom. We're not her mom, but we can all be there, and she knows we're here. We got her. We love her. She can have whatever she wants from any of us. She's got our support, but she has to live the rest of her life with what happened to her. She's a survivor. She was there when it happened.
right. Yes, losing your little brother And your mom from, and I
Yes,
mean, and then not even from a stranger, from your brother's father. What
yeah,
a story,
yes, yes,
gosh. Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
So she's,
But like you
entering
said, love
teenagehood.
matters, support matters.
Yes,
Cause some people are alone, and they
yeah,
have to deal with it
exactly.
alone. So that's a beautiful thing how your family has always been supportive and together.
Yep, yep.
Um, okay, so I know because I've experienced some deaths that roles change. And you just change when you lose someone close. So how has Jelina's death affected your brothers or even your life? Like I know you mentioned that you and her would do like regular things together.
Yeah, well, like I said before, we have a lot of brothers, and they're all starting to have their kids and have their family, and for me being their big sister, it's awesome, watching them become dads and watching their children. And my sister, she was just, she loved the babies, and her, not being able to be here and meet all these new nieces and nephews that we have is it's horrible, because she would have loved them and they would have loved her.
Exactly.
However, we do have some nieces that are the same age as my nephew that passed away, that got murdered, and they were in the same preschool class, and it affects them. They talk about him every single day. They'll see a bird flying and they're like, "Oh, there's baby Nick." Um, for a very long time, they would cry. They would just come over and cry, and they're, were 4 and 5 years old when this happened. Um, with my brothers, I always think that the women in our family though are very strong. We're way stronger than the men, and um, so it was hard for me, real hard, but I'm way stronger than them. So they have
So
had a very,
stronger
very,
means what? You were able to push on and continue working
yes,
and
and
living.
yes. I
Okay.
have to continue taking care of my kids, continue being a wife, trying not to drink myself to death, and trying, because for a while, I'm not gonna lie, for a while, maybe 2 years, for 2 years after my sister passed, I got drunk every single day.
So
I
what was
had,
that like depression? You kind of was just
yes,
out of
I
it,
just,
like negative
yeah, I
thoughts
didn't want to
and
feel. And
that
again, like you
numbness.
said, I have a really good marriage, and I was so mean to my husband. I just wanted to be divorced because I wanted to feel the pain of divorce and not the pain of the loss and the murder of my sister and my nephew. I wanted that pain to just go. It's so unbearable. And then on top of that, I'm like deteriorating in the inside. But then I'm watching my siblings, my younger, brothers, and my mother, um, deteriorate on the inside and the outside. You know, emptiness. Um,
Oh, so they were doing wow. So you thought you were taking it hard, but then you saw your mom and brothers taking it even more harder than that. Than you.
yes,
Wow.
yeah,
Oh my. Ain't that something else? Where
yeah,
you can't even really grieve how you want because you got to be there for others.
yeah. It's and they try. They're supportive too. They know when I need them, but at the same time, we're the women in our family. We are like the lions,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, and the men. They're strong physically, very very strong physically, but
Mhm.
mentally, um, they're very weak.
Mhm.
They can't handle stuff like that. They can't, and they're just now, like I said, it's going on 5 years, but they're all my brothers, the younger ones are all now entering their 30s. So mentally, they're starting to grow and just now starting to put, their lives back in order and back together. But but for a long time it has everybody just stagnant because
Exactly, man. Cause like you can't even go after this dude. Like he didn't even go to prison for somebody else to beat him up. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
so
and
it's
then
like, where do you like? Gosh,
yes, and it was so public.
man.
So it's like you couldn't get away from
Yes,
it.
cause I'm
People,
in another city and I read about it. I watched videos. I watched several clippings. Like I couldn't believe
yes.
it. I
I will
could
say this:
not believe that hit
my
home like that.
town, the Kalamazoo, was so my family's well known. We've been in Kalamazoo my whole life, but Kalamazoo was so supporting. I mean, I can't even tell you how lucky we are to have everybody in Kalamazoo. I would open my front door every single day for the first 6 months of my sister's passing. Me and my mom both. I would open my front door and there would be boxes of chicken coop, boxes of
Wow.
food, juice, snacks for my kids. They knew I wasn't able to take care of my kids, and I'm telling you right now, my husband's mom died a week after my sister and nephew. So the Kalamazoo was feeding my kids. I don't even remember half of what was going on after this, but I know I would open my door every single day, and my porch would be flooded with food, cooked foods, raw
Wow.
foods, vegetables,
Beautiful.
just everything. I would get
Beautiful.
cards in the mail, money in it. Everybody was so supportive. So that was another thing too that we were really lucky and very blessed about.
Yes, big time, big
Hmm.
time. Okay, so how are you coping? Like, what is something you would tell other family members who experience this type of trauma? How do you get through it? What is activities that you do? What are things that you tell yourself?
Well, one thing that I've learned is, exercise and whatever you're putting in your body, it makes you feel a little better. Um, I've found different things like to keep myself busy. Like for one, like trying to be a vegetarian because it takes a lot out of you. You got to constantly shop for this food. You constantly mentally preparing everything that you're gonna do. You're cutting up the vegetables. It gives you a lot of stuff to do, and then not only that, it's healthy for you.
Uh-huh.
And then when you exercise, you are releasing endorphins. I am more of a natural person, so I try to deal with everything hard. I don't like to do any medications. I just try to deal with it hard, and I think meditation, praying, just everything good. Put everything good in your body. Peace, time for yourself. Just that. I mean, that's how I get by every day. Eat healthy, exercise, care for me, put more into me, so I can be happy because there's so many things in this life that makes you unhappy and makes you sad. But my focus is just on being happy because life is short. It's gonna be one thing is for sure is we're all gonna die. But being at peace with yourself and having that relaxed mentality and just living for happiness. Just living for happiness.
Okay, so is it closure that you have, or is it understanding?
It's just the understanding.
Okay.
It's understanding and um more so it's a lesson too. You know, my daughters and my niece and myself, and my mom and my brothers, us dealing with this and experiencing a domestic violence that's ended up like this, like it did, has prepared my children mentally to know the signs, to know what to look for, to know that if it's just uneasy, it's uneasy. It's not supposed to be uneasy feeling.
And then they also know how serious a threat could be, but nobody
Exactly.
really. It's very challenging. I'm not kidding you because I know I've heard so many people say that in relationships, like you ain't going nowhere, and if you do this, but nothing ever happens. I don't think so. Not really. Like this hit
Yeah.
home because wow. Okay, so okay, what is a hashtag you would create for Jelena or
Um.
just
Oh, a hashtag. Let me think.
like
Um. I think it should be hashtag Jelena and baby Nick to the moon and back.
okay, now where do that come from?
When she would tell her daughter that she loved her, she would always say, "I love you to the moon and back."
Okay. And Jelena's son was how old at the time?
He was 4.
4. Wow. Gosh, 4 years old. They so tiny and so innocent.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's just spirits and mental illnesses. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Jelena does not have a voice. What would you tell women? So you've helped say a lot, but is there like a quote or like a saying um that you think would be helpful? Like if you could speak for Jelena.
Um, you know what? I guess I would say if a man doesn't like an independent woman, something has to be wrong with him anyway. You know, if you can't make your own decisions and you can't, I don't really know. I don't know. I would have to think about it
I
honestly,
know,
but
cause I'm literally thinking too. I'm just like because her situation. Oh, it's just so tragic, but it wasn't any type of tracing. Like like she could say like what the night before he had stalked me, and I had to stay at my mom's house because I was afraid for my life, and
right. And see, and that's the thing with her too is she just never was afraid. So it wasn't. We never seen her scared. She never. If we would have seen her scared and afraid, something definitely would have been done. I mean, the type of family we have. If she was allowing him to hit her, we would have took her and made her stay in the house, and we would have been watching her. She wouldn't have been able to leave. She'd have been basically kidnapped. We wouldn't let her go back and be with somebody who we knew was doing something to her. You know, like you said though, it's a really hard thing because he
oh
was an
my
older
god,
man. He was,
right, his first
you know,
kid too. How many
yes,
fathers look forward to their first child, especially
I
older and mature fathers? Like
right.
you
You had your first
40
kid at
having your
40,
first kid. This is lovely. I wouldn't care if the mama
right?
don't want me or not. I got this kid. We could go fishing and oh my
Exactly,
gosh. But so hateful.
exactly.
Like you hate yourself because she don't
And let
like
me
you no more.
her
You
and
gonna
her and his family, instead of like coming together with our family and being like, oh my God, this is tragic, they put on Facebook immediately after they pronounced my sister dead that it was a gang shooting, that somebody from a gang shot my sister. And they just made this
what?
big mess. And I'm
Wow.
telling you, God does not like ugly because within a year, almost everyone in his family passed away. His mom, his
Oh
dad, and,
my
and one of his brothers.
gosh. Heck no. What?
Yes,
The evil in people.
I'm
Oh
telling
my
you.
gosh. Oh.
Yes, Noah.
And y'all did not kill none of them. They
No.
just. I'm like,
We did not kill
ain't
him,
that some
Noah.
freak accident stuff? Like, wow.
Like, the dad went into a nursing home and died. The mom got real sick and died. And something happened to the brother. I don't really know what happened to him, but yeah. And then he only has like a sister and one brother left out here.
Wow, that is deep.
I know.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
They
Okay.
it
His
was
family
it was crazy. And then when
gone.
they buried him, they have a picture on his tombstone of him and my nephew, and he killed him.
What? Dang, that's weird.
Yeah, we didn't let them come to
That
the
don't
funeral though.
even make
So
no sense.
yes, Noah, that's how weird
Wow. So
his
it's
family is.
something definitely probably with that family.
Yeah, that's what I said. It was just evil,
Oh
pure
my
evil,
gosh.
because
It's
my
some.
mom never
Mm-mm.
once blamed it on the parents of him. You know, they never once came and tried to come together for the funeral. You know, just it was just it was crazy. My mother did everything. They got to be married, buried in the same casket.
Mm. So she was
Yeah.
holding her baby.
You, I didn't hear you. What?
So what she was holding her son when she was in the casket.
Yep. Yep.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm so thankful for this opportunity to have this recorded for us, our family, for others. So I want
Yes.
to end this with a song that your brother had made um, after Jelina passed away, which is his sister, your sister. Do you remember? Okay, so I have the cover right here. And just so everyone could know, I haven't been around my cousins since they were kids, like teenagers. Not even teenagers, like 10, 11 years old. So
Yep.
I heard this song and I was like, wow, but I remember these cousins, but I don't. So Marie, tell me that my cousin name, but on the CD it says Young OG Southwood.
Yep. So he is known as Perk on Facebook, but he also goes by Seago. He has a lot of other songs on YouTube and on SoundCloud. He actually has a Doa. I'm gonna send it to you when we get off the phone. He made these other two songs. I don't know if you remember, but remember that song with Eve? Was it Eve when she was talking about her friend who had got killed by her boyfriend?
Yeah, I remember that
So
song.
Clinton, that's my brother's name. Clinton remade that song, but put his own
Oh my
stuff in that.
gosh.
And he just, I'm gonna send you a couple of these little songs because when I tell you it's three of them on there, Doa, you gonna just love them.
I'm sure I am. I'm sure I am. So I know you're busy, so I don't want to keep you, but I do want to at least keep you to play a little clipping of this song. It's song number 10 called Save Me. And wait, no, no, no. Wait, what's the song? Oh, it is.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so this is a song that he did after Jelena, his sister, passed or was murdered. Um, do you recall anything about like this song? Like, were you around? Did you see how he
Yeah,
was handling the murder? You know,
yeah. It was a really emotional thing. There was a lot of people around when he was making this song. Um, he cried. There were so many clips where it's natural pain. It was really fresh after it happened. This is what he was doing to try to heal himself. Um, yeah, because he was there and he holds guilt. Um, you know,
mm,
because
mm,
you got to
mm,
remember there's a
mm,
lot of
mm,
us, so everybody's mourning
mm, mm,
was
mm.
different from my mourning. My mourning was my mourning, and it was my tragedy. Um, but he was in the house when this happened. Everybody who was involved in this, their mourning is completely different than mine, but it's all tragic.
I know, and it's so beautiful for him to put together pain and lyrics with music in the background. It's
Yeah,
almost like Tupac would do. You know how like
yeah.
someone that's talent, and
Oh,
it's
he
so
is very
beautiful.
talented.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Not everybody could, like. I wish I could turn some of my tragic moments into songs because oh wait,
I
that's
know. And
painful. I
the
want to
thing
put
is,
it
too, is
out
he's
there.
like, he's like, man, I could have did so much better on that. And I'm like, it's perfect.
To me,
It
it
was
is
fresh.
perfect.
You know, yeah,
Yeah.
it was fresh. It was right off of the chest, right off of his heart.
Right. Right. You
Mhm.
can't, he could always edit it or whatever they call it, remix it, but this right here, like how you said, was fresh.
Yeah,
Um,
it
yeah,
was
when
fresh.
I went to, I came to Kalamazoo and went to the little liquor store. I don't know, it was on the
J
south
and B.
side. Yeah, and I got like 5 copies. I gave my dad one. I just gave them to different people, and I got one for my
That is
boys.
so good.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm so proud of my family because okay, so he has another song. I ain't gonna play it now, but I just want to say this song called "Grind for Me." Oh my gosh, I used to play that in the morning to get me motivated. Oh my gosh, yeah, I like
There's
that too.
another one called Hard to Love. Man, it's so
It
deep.
so that's not on this CD, right?
No, no, this is something that he just finished up actually. I'm gonna
Okay,
send it to
yeah,
you
send
though.
it. Yeah, so I could share it. Okay, so you guys, um, so like I said, this is number 10, and this is about Marie's sister who was murdered by her son's father, and he also murdered their son. Okay.
Tragedy. Somebody save me. Somebody save me. Save me. See my sister die, man, that's crazy. How could a man take a child? That's so crazy. And I just wish somebody could save me. Somebody save me. Save me. Seen a cow take my sister and the baby. With my own eyes, man, it drove me crazy. I'm like, how? And they ain't supposed to face. Somebody save me. Shit, I'ma miss arguing with my sister and kissing Nino from school. I wish I was up early, I would've gripped that tool. It would've been nobody's left in that pool. And what hurts me the most is to see my mom on the news. But she say, son, chill down, cause that could've been you. See, if I would've woke up, I could've stopped that shit. I would've cocked my pistol, and I would've popped that bitch. Somebody save me, hey, somebody save me. I just want my sissy back and a baby.
Okay, I gotta pause it. Oh my gosh, I'm like tearing up. Oh my gosh, that is
Yeah,
so deep.
I'm over here crying too because you know I've only listened to it
Oh
probably
my
2 times
gosh.
because my his
Woo!
voice in there is he's crying.
Woo! Girl, that is. I mean, like I said, like that's a Tupac, ain't it? Like when you pour your
It is.
pain into a song, because I know everything. Like when he said his mama like to see his mama when he wanted like if the coward, trying to.
Yeah, and
Oh
it's not
my
like it's
gosh!
a
And then he
retaliate.
dropped names. He mentioned his nephew name. Like oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is too real. Oh my
Well, cause then
gosh.
baby too, Nick, he would rap with him. He took him to the studio, and that was his. You know, he wanted to be. Nick loved him because he rapped. He thought Clinton was the coolest thing around,
Gosh.
and that's why he was like, I got to make a song for him because he was his biggest fan.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. So, woo, wait, girl. Yeah. So, any last thoughts? I want to just thank you so much. I don't think we should keep playing that song, but I want to give him his props, and I feel like people,
Yes,
even this
it
song
is.
might be old to some people. Old music is still jamming. People
That's
still
right.
rocking
That's
it.
right.
It's still real, and
It
I'm
is.
glad people could now. Like people who didn't know you or like who just know me, they could see like this stuff is affecting families. Keep your hands to yourself. If you don't want
That's
to
right.
deal with a female, leave her alone. Go to court. Get joint custody. You don't have
Yep.
to kill somebody. You then to kill your own child too. This is affecting families.
It is, and I hope that this does help somebody. Like I
Yes,
said,
me
this is the
too.
very first time that I have even really talked about it, and I feel glad that I talked about it. I'm
Good. I
happy about it,
appreciate
and
you.
I hope that it does touch and reach people and just raise a little bit of awareness. You know that we might not be able to stop somebody who might be like, oh, she always go back to him. He do this. She always go back to him, but still just be that support because if not, something happened to him, then you have to live with the fact that you knew all this stuff, but you didn't do anything but talk about him behind their back.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, but like how we've said, sometimes there are no signs. There are
Yeah,
no signs.
yeah,
How can you ever explain even a baby being murdered by the parent?
it,
Like that's
right,
not even like a baby who wasn't even given a chance to even sin or do no wrong. You know,
exactly.
so
Innocence, everything.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Whew, we okay. Well, cousin, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm gonna stop this recording. But you guys,
Okay.
positive comments only. This I don't even have a lot of followers, but I wanted to get this recorded. Like I said, for me, for our family, for others, and I hope this story could help people to leave relationships. If you feel like it could be threatening, or if the man just even play around, maybe you should leave. Maybe that's your sign. Maybe people shouldn't play like that.
That's right.
So love yourself, love your child enough to know that, like Marie said, she's in a healthy marriage. So healthy marriages do exist. So believe in yourself. Let me stop right here.